Hello, welcome. This is the video that belongs to 15 November week and derivative analysis migration. And the title of this week is Infectious Diseases Across the Migration Continent. And the main points and the core concept, like all of which we start with this is the central infectious diseases control within high-income countries. It's impossible without effective equity-based strategies targeting the migrant and the health of migrants and the host country are inextricably linked. So, disproportionate burden. Migrants, particularly those from high prevalence regions, carry a substantially higher burden in specific long and IDs as tuberculosis and hepatitis B and Z. And compared to the native-born population, like the articles from Spain and United States clearly show this disparity. And so the next point is the migration continuum. Like health risks are dynamic and must be assessed across the entire migration journey, like pre-migration, the transit, and the post-arrival. Risks are also reintroduced by established migrants when visiting friends and relatives in their country of origin. This is the reason because the population or the people of the United States have to receive the vaccine of tuberculosis when they're born, because this is one that the Mexican people received in the first stage of the life, but not is like in the vaccine schematization of the United States. The transit between the two countries is immense, and they are not immune to that infections when they visit the friends, the family, even when they go to vacations. So the failure of current systems and delayed diagnosis and optimal treatment among migrant populations are often due to the structural barriers, like legal status, language issues, poverty, fear of reporting, in which ultimately drive the persistence of these diseases and compromise national elimination targets. And the article emphasized that interconnectedness over a simple summary of prevalence, because it shifts the narrative and it moves to conversation from viewing migrants as an isolated risk group and recognizing them as an integral part of the public health landscape, where disparities directly impact the entire community and demands a systematic, rights-based response, not just a clinical one. And point number 2, wow, delicious. Something confused. What remains particularly confusing is the ethical and logistical trade-off. I really hate the trade-off. This is like a cycle that never ends. Not if you non-stop. The principal agent lay between targeted screening and universal screening for latent infections, especially latent tuberculosis infection. The tuberculosis, it is bad dream. while the Spanish data confirms that the tuberculosis incidence rates are 10 times higher in foreign-born individuals. Even more the Mexican, specifically in Baja California, because this will argue for mass screening programs upon arrival. And however, the Greenaway and Castle review points of the immense logistical challenges and a high rates of loss to follow up when trying to transition a new arrived after a stable population from a positive screening result to full treatment. So the dilemma is, if we screen everyone, we risk immense resources on the real may not a complete treatment, or worse, tuberculosis may never activate and risk stigmatization. So if we only screen symptomatic or high risk migrants, we miss a substantial reservoir of infection that can later fuel community transmission. So a clear path to understanding requires a deeper look into health and economics and public health ethics at different screening models, and I need to know which model is truly the most cost effective and right screening for both the migrant of the host community, because it is better to screen only those from the hardest prevalence countries and focus on active case finding in primary care after integration, like the public health functions and assist and monitor population health, like maintain strong organizational infrastructure, evaluate improved practices, promote the hand washing, and investigate and diagnose health problems, and receive the treatment. Where we keep going with what's new to me and changed my mind, my way of perceiving, and was genuinely new and perception altering was the explicit link between social determinants and infectious disease progression, like particularly regarding HIV, of virus of VIH, and hepatitis C, HAZV. Like, while I understand the link between poverty and disease, the Williams in the article highlighted that migrants are often diagnosed at later stage of HIV infection compared to native-born populations in Europe. And this isn't just failure of initial screening, because it speaks to the cumulative effects of social marginalization. A late diagnosis means poor individual prognosis, higher mortality, morbidity, and a longer period of undiagnosed transmission in the community. I think about this because when you're known as a sick person and you don't change your actions, for example, to have relationships, sex relationships with others, and you know with each IV, that's so irresponsible of the part of the person. They have to care the others and himself or themselves. So this changed my thinking, because it forces a realization that treating the infection is only half the battle. If a system fails to provide safe integration pathways, housing, legal status, and not judgmental primary care, it creates a fertile environment for late stage disease presentation and onward transmission. It confirms that the fight against communicable diseases like HIV or tuberculosis is fundamentally a fight for social justice and inclusion. So this knowledge connects powerfully to my ethics and public health courses. emphasize, sorry, emphasizing that health system design must mitigate and not exacerbate and the vulnerability created by the migration process. And is there anything that I would like to explore further or want to know more about and why? And I would like to explore the specifics of tuberculosis transmission within host countries by the foreign-born population. I live in Baja California. This is a zone with tuberculosis, zona endemica, we know like that. And the census Manitoba in the article shows that tuberculosis incidence in foreign-born individuals is very high, but the overall incidence in Spain is declining. A key question is the extent to which the higher rates in migrants are due to reactivation of tuberculosis acquired before migration versus new transmission occurring with the host country. And I want to know more about the genotype and the studies of Mycobacterium tuberculosis. These studies track the genetic fingerprints of the bacteria to determine if a new case in native-born person is linked to the cluster from foreign-born group, or if the transmission is primarily occurring with the migrant community itself. Understanding this dynamic is crucial because it's mainly reactivation. The focus shall be on tuberculosis treatment and addressing social stressors like poor housing, the trigger reactivation, and if it's new transmission in the host country, the focus must shift to immediate case finding, tracing and improving community level access to care and interrupt the chain of infection. So we next read the 5 questions and the last one. Give the list on a specific example. Professional or personal that is related to this week's readings. During my high school, because as you know I'm a college student and I got a lot of experiences. Actually I'm taking on pneumology. I'm passed for pneumology clinics and serves a large immigration population. I assist a recent arrival with a language translation. Yay! So the patient was a young woman for West what country? I don't remember. It was somewhere, and who was hesitant to get hepatitis B screening despite being clearly at high risk based on her origin country's prevalence. Here was a woman black, and that's a risk factor, as I known. And when I gently inquired, she explained that back home, and HBV diagnosis was often a source of shame and fear. So leading to social exclusion and difficulty finding work, her immediate concern was not a medical risk, but it's such a risk that the result will somehow be shared and jeopardize her fragile new life or future legal applications. And the experience vividly connects to the readings by highlighting the psychosocial barriers to infectious disease control. This is about the Greenway in Castelli. And the high prevalence in her country of origin is not only part of the story. The major obstacle was her perceived lack of confidentiality. This word is so hard to say. Confidentially, and trust. In the housing system, because some strange for the people, and it underscores the human reality that a positive test result can carry immense social consequences, which must be addressed through compassionate, culturally sensitive counseling before any diagnostic test is even ordered. So, conclusion general. Oh my god, I got 15 minutes. It doesn't matter. I would like to say it in my native language, that is español. So, we start. Esta semana de lectura sobre enfermedades infecciosas en la migración ha sido un gran recordatorio que la salud global y la salud local son un sistema unido, son un único sistema, porque la persistencia de altas tasas de tuberculosis, VIH y hepatitis, como lo hemos estado platicando en el video, en las poblaciones inmigrantes de los países de altos riesgos es un indicador de la falla sistemática en la integración social y la equidad en la salud, no una simple patología individual. Nosotros como mexicanos tenemos el esquema de vacunas en la tuberculosis, pero es algo que en otros países no se tiene. Entonces, como visitantes, como turistas hacia México, es indispensable conocer las enfermedades endémicas y que podemos combatir con esquema de vacunación tanto en nuestro país como los posibles tratamientos en el país de origen. Así es como futuros profesionales de la medicina, nuestra función debe limitarse no solo al diagnóstico y la prescripción, sino también como defensores estructurales promoviendo sistemas de atención que aborden vulnerabilidades a lo largo de todo el contorno migratorio, porque como residentes de una ciudad sabemos cuáles son las enfermedades que más debemos de prevenir, cómo hacerlo, y personas visitantes no lo son, y son cosas que nos encontramos en la historia al momento de realizar la historia clínica. Así que, por ejemplo, desde la prevención de viajes hasta la atención post llegada, así garantiza la confidencialidad y pues fomentar la confianza para superar el diagnóstico tardío de una enfermedad, reconocer y mitigar también determinantes sociales como pobreza, la vivienda, el estatus legal también, que activan y transmiten la enfermedad. Así que la eliminación de estas enfermedades en nuestras naciones jamás va a suceder, pero sí se puede controlar, porque fundamentalmente pues el enfoque debe ser más humano y justo, y médicamente competente. So we are back with English and it was a pleasure for me to share with you this information. I'm so grateful and excited to share with you this about the tuberculosis. That is some disease so common where I live in Bacci, California, and if you are of the United States, you have to know about this if you come someday, vacations, visit your friends, your family, so just to think, and see you the next week, that I think is the last one video. So this was so long, and I hope the next one it was shorter that we talked the other week. Thank you so much for watching.